What is up? What is going on, everybody? I am back because we have another trade that the Seattle Mariners have made. This time they are acquiring second baseman Jorge Polanco from the Minnesota Twins in exchange for reliever Justin Topa, minor league pitcher Darren Bowen, minor league outfielder Gabriel Gonzalez, and major league pitcher Anthony DeSclafani. I'm going to dive into the trade. I'm going to break it down for the Seattle Mariners here in just a minute. Welcome back to the podcast. Before I dive in, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button if you're new. I'm on the road to 3,000. And if you guys can just hit the like button, whether you agree with the takes or don't agree with them, you just want to support my channel, hitting the like button helps tremendously. So let's go ahead and dive into this deal for the Mariners' new second baseman. And I love it. I love the trade. I think it's a tremendous deal. I think it helps solidify the Mariners' offense, gives them an everyday player, a switch hitter at second base. It allows you now to platoon Rojas and Urias at third base. So I think you're almost improving two positions here at one. I've talked about how I hope the Mariners would add another infielder because I like the idea of platooning Urias and Rojas more than both of them being everyday players. I think that suits them better. And you get a really, really good player now at second base that can play every day for you in Polanco. And all of a sudden now you look at this lineup and listen, do I think it's the best lineup in baseball? No, the Dodgers are going to probably take that, that title. But with this pitching staff, I kind of like this lineup now. There's some question marks. I'm not going to come on here and just spout that they're the best or something like that, but you can kind of start to see now some, got one hair that's just, I don't know if that's from my beard. Yeah, it's just one hair that, there we go. It's gone. That is, fairly formidable now. You've got, the big dumper, hopefully Ty France bounces back. You got Polanco at second, JP at short, Urias Rojas at third. I don't know how they'll play it, but you got Haniger, Luke Raley, Canzone, Julio, Mitch Garver at DH. You can see a formidable lineup here beginning. Let's first dive into the players that the Mariners gave up. And listen, I'm not going to stand here and say that they didn't give up a little bit of a haul. I think it is I think it's a good trade for Minnesota as well. I don't think this is like some steal or anything like that. But if you want the Mariners to win in 2024, which we all do, we wanted them to, we saw what they did last offseason. It wasn't enough. If you want them to get better, you're going to have to give up some players. This ownership isn't handing out money. So free agency is going to be tough. Jerry and Justin got to get creative and pull trades off, and they did. So let's look at the four guys they gave up. First of all, let me talk about Polanco a little bit. He is under contract next year for $10.5 million and has a club option in 2025 for $12 million. So you could potentially have Polanco for 2 years here as well in Seattle. I mean, more too, you could extend them, but we'll get to that down the road once the season's over and what they decide to do. First guy going is Justin Topa. Love Justin Topa. Really solid season last year. But you guys know how I am with that. I'm just not going to lose sleep over trading relievers for established everyday players. It's just bullpens are pretty easy to fill on the back end. Now, it does create a hole in the bullpen. I'm not going to just say whatever to it. But I think the Mariners, with what you've seen them do in the past with bullpens, I think they've got enough guys down there and have acquired enough guys that I think they'll manage to fill that. Now, I mean, they've traded away a lot of guys in that pen. Swanson, Sewald, now Topa. So I guess you could say it is a bit of a question mark, but it's just something I'm not super worried about. So fine with that. Darren Bowen was 22, right-handed pitcher in single A. I don't know a ton about Bowen, but definitely had some good numbers in single A. So that's a tough loss. Love Gabriel Gonzalez, a 20-year-old right-handed outfield bat. Bowen's a right-handed pitcher. Mashed last year in single A. That's a tough loss. I think Gonzalez can be a really, really good player down the road. Now, with any prospects, you never know. And I always say you want to stock up minor league systems for two reasons. One, so you have good players that can step up and take over. And two, it gives you, trade ammunition. That's part of the reasons you keep the farm system stocked. And then Anthony DeSclafani, who I mentioned when the Mariners acquired him in the Haniger, Robbie Ray trade. I even said I wouldn't be shocked if he's traded here in the next few weeks or months for something, whether included another deal or just traded for something. So Could not care less about DeSclafani. I don't mean that maliciously to him, but whatever. I mean, again, it is pitching depth that's gone, so it matters, but him and Topa not going to lose sleep over. Not even super worried about Bowen. Gonzalez does sting a little bit, but you keep Brian Wu, you keep Bryce Miller, you keep Cole Young, Colt Emerson, Luzardo Montez, Emerson Hancock. So I thought for sure when I saw this trade announced, I'm like, Wu or Miller's going to be in this deal. There's no way. And they weren't. I think it's a nice haul for Minnesota. I think Gonzalez could really be a solid player. And maybe 5 years down the road, we look back and go, oh my God, we gave up Gabriel Gonzalez in that deal. Definitely possible. But, I think the Mariners did a good job restocking the farm system here after graduating a lot of players. It's just, again, like we know ownership's not spending a ton in free agency and doesn't have the money for it. So you got to get creative and do trades. And that's the price of doing business. I don't think the Mariners got a steal here necessarily, but I think it's a totally fair trade. I think this is absolutely fine. And listen, if this can help the Mariners get to the playoffs and win a World Series, you won't care about those guys as much down the road, more than likely. And like I said, Topa, DeSclafani, whatever, replaceable guys. I don't mean that maliciously towards them, but just my take on it. I'm always going to be okay, with trading relievers in deals like that. So let's look a little bit at Jorge Polanco, the new Mariners switch hitting second baseman. The switch hitting aspect is nice because it allows you to, you don't have to platoon him or anything like that. You're getting a full-time player. Posted a 118 WRC plus in 2023, 255 batting average, 335 OBP, and I apparently can't read my handwriting here. Let me see if I can just pull it up real quick. A 454 slugging percentage. Boy, my handwriting is atrocious because that does not look like 454. And then for 2024, Fangraphs has him, or I should say Zips has him projected for 2.9 wins above replacement level. So essentially a 3-win player with a 114 WRC plus. More of a hitter than a defensive player, but not, I think, so much of a defensive liability that you are necessarily too worried about it. If you go to Savant, look at a Savant page, expected weighted on-base average is great. Expected slugging is great. Barrel is great. Walks a lot. And actually his chase and whiff rate are about average. He is in the 27th percentile for strikeouts, so he does strike out a little bit. It's probably just a factor of the walks that he probably just takes a lot of pitches. And, when you're a guy that takes pitches, you're going to strike out a bit, but he doesn't chase a lot. It's middle of the road. So it's not someone that's just going to go fishing for pitches either. So the Savant page is very, very encouraging for Polanco. The slugging is great. The fact that he's barreling the ball up is a really good sign for that slugging percentage. And the weighted on-base average is really good. Now, the fielding on Savant, not great arm strength or range, according to Savant. And the sprint speed is slightly above average. In 2021, in 588 at-bats, Polanco OPS 826. In 2022, in 375 at-bats, OPS 751. And then last year in 302 at-bats, OPS 789. Like I said, I like the deal for the Twins. Probably wasn't even necessarily going to be a full-time player there, so you get a haul for it. But for the Mariners, he'll be able to play second base every day for you and really just helps lengthen the lineup. I usually hate using those colloquialisms. Is that the word for that? Where it's like, oh, he gives you protection for this guy and that stuff. I usually don't like getting into all those, but it really does. This makes this lineup look a lot better, in my opinion. Because you solidify second base there as well. So you get a possible, again, projections are projections for a reason. They're not, if the 3 wins above replacement projection was guaranteed, there'd be no point to play the games. But you get someone that has, is projected to be a 3-win, I can't speak, a 3-win player at second base. And like I said, it also improves third base because now you're not just having Luis Urias there. You can platoon him with Rojas, and you should get more value out of that position. You didn't have to dig into the rotation for this. You didn't leave yourself a hole there. The only real thing you did in 2024 that you gave up is a little bit of pitching depth with DeSclafani, which I think Emerson Hancock can kind of fill that role. And then Topa, which I do think it matters. While I'm fine with giving up Topa, you do have a hole in the bullpen. But like I always say, look at Justin Topa. Came out of nowhere last year and was a really solid reliever. There can be another guy that can be this year's Justin Topa that can step up. And you kept Munoz and Brash, who are really the highlights of the bullpen, in my opinion. So, I really like the trade. I think it's what you have to do. If you want this team to win in 2024 with this ownership group, would it be easier to just sign the free agents? Yeah, that would be great. I would love to keep the minor league system intact and do that, but it's just not going to be on the table here. And you go out and get a really good ball player here at second base. And you don't take a big chunk out of the major league roster. Really, the only piece that I'm kind of like, stings is Gonzalez. But, his name was brought up at the trade deadline a lot. A lot of people were like, well, you could have sent Gonzalez and gotten something, and they didn't do that. But now you do it here with Polanco. So, and listen, I've said that this team needs to go out and add an infielder. I talked about Whit Merrifield last week. Talked about Donovan Solano. I've mentioned Polanco a ton. And if you want to do that, you got to give something up to make it happen. So, and this team desperately needed a second baseman or an infielder. Third base, second base, it didn't really matter. But they desperately need another infielder. They go out and get them, and they get a really solid player that I think fans are going to like. And I think this is a clear upgrade, although I thought Colton Wong was a clear upgrade over Adam Frazier. You never know. But, upgrade over Colton Wong, upgrade over Adam Frazier, probably the best second baseman the Mariners have had since Robinson Cano, to be perfectly honest, unless someone I'm missing in there. I know D. Gordon played a little second base, but I like the deal. I can't go much more into detail than that. Giving you the numbers, you get a 340 OBP guy coming over here, perfect guy to maybe hit second in the lineup or maybe a little bit lower and can kind of help be a table setter for the bottom of the order. I'm not big on batting order or anything like that, but I like the deal. Do I think it's like a steal necessarily? No, I think it's a pretty fair value. I think Minnesota's going to like the guys they got in return. So if you're a Twins fan, I don't think this is a bad deal for you at all. But as a Mariners perspective, yeah, I like it. It is I'm repeating myself here. So I like the trade. Totally on board with it. Wanted to come on here and make that quick video. Let me know your thoughts on it. If you like it, hate it, to each their own on that. But the 2024, the important thing is at the end of the day, the 2024 Seattle Mariners are a better baseball team now. And that at the end of the day is right now what matters. We'll worry about other things down the road. So 2024 Mariners are a lot better, and they didn't have to dig into the pitching staff, the current rotation, to do that. So drop a like if you can. Hit that sub button if you're new. Always posting Mariners content. I get these videos up as quick as I can when these trades go down, and I'm ready for baseball. I'm pumped. I'm ready. I will have some more videos coming up. I'll also have a video up as soon as the Seahawks have a head coaching decision. Take care, everybody. Love y'all. Have a great Monday night. Go Mariners. Peace.